Just wanted to let everyone know so that we can head back and hear all the great information that is out there. So my name is Beth Schaefer. I'm the Wisconsin Agriculture in the Classroom Coordinator. Thank you for joining us. We're excited. We've got a great lineup this afternoon. Our featured speakers are here, but before we get too far, if we could just check in and let our speakers know and let our presenters know where are you? Where is everyone today? So I'm going to toss it to Mary first. Chris, heads up, you're going to be last, and that's how we'll kick you off. But go ahead and just unmute and say hello.
All right, so my name is Mary Cooper, and I'm a middle school science teacher in Richland Center. And so I'm very, very excited to be here and share what we have been doing in our ambassador program with you guys.
Kevin.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Podeweltz. I teach fourth grade in the Wausau area at DC Everest Riverside Elementary. I'm also a first year Egg in the Classroom ambassador.
All right, I've got Jacqueline Kramer.
Hi, my name's Jacqueline. I'm currently a student at the University of Wisconsin River Falls, majoring in agriculture education and conservation. And then I'm our Farm Bureau's Egg in the Classroom chair.
Awesome. Welcome. Brooke?
Hi, I'm also an agricultural education major at UW River Falls, and I am the pre-service educator ambassador this year.
All right. I'm just going in line on my screen. So Andrea. Andrea Thompson. Can you hear me? Okay, well, that's all right. Josh, we'll figure it out. Oh, Josh is in dismissal. Sheila?
Oops. Hi. I'm just getting home myself. I'm Sheila Krosberg from Wapaka, and I am a first year Egg in the Classroom ambassador.
Awesome. Thank you. And Ashley Shaw is joining us. Ashley, I know you just jumped in, but if you are able, would you like to unmute yourself and just let us know where you're joining us from today? And that's okay.
I'm sorry. Are you talking to me?
Yes, it says Ashley.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just hopped on. I'm from Racine County, and I'm currently serving as Racine County's Agriculture Ambassador this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you want to jump off or not jump off, if you want to jump off mute, if anybody wants to ask questions as we go through, I've saved our host or our guest speaker for our last introductions, but we are really excited to introduce our guest speaker today. Our agriculture insider is Chris Clark, who's an outreach specialist from Northeast Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin Extension. She's part of the Nutrient and Pest Management Program. She's going to share a little more about herself. So Chris, take it away.
Yeah, really happy to be with you guys because I am a former ag teacher. I went to River Falls, and though I felt like I told Beth I wish I had a little bit more time to prepare. I am filling in for Jamie Patton, who she gave me her slides, and then I was able to tweak them a little bit in the short amount of time that I knew that I had to fill in for this presentation. But Jamie has it come up in presentation mode, Beth? There. Are we good now? Okay.
Yes, you are good.
So Jamie is over here in the blue shirt with the hat on in a soil pit. She's amazing. Jamie works for the USDA NRCS, and she has moved up the ranks, and she's been serving many roles. And one of the things that I'll go to anytime is listening to her in a soil pit. So this is a soil pit. She speaks to farmers a lot. And I kept her contact information in here. So if this is someone that you can partner with in the future, Jamie's a great resource to have in this whole soils topic. So myself, I'm Chris Clark. I'm the nutrient and pest management outreach specialist, and I also serve Brown, Kewaunee, and Dorr as a crops and soils educator. So as an agronomist, a lot of people don't really have heard of that term. Basically, I'm a doctor for the soil. So I get to look at different types of soils, and we look at what nutrients are in there and then work with the farmers to know what crop they are going to plant and what their entire crop rotation is. And I make sure that it has enough nutrients. Either we're going to put manure on that, or we're going to put commercial fertilizer on that. The second big part of it is that I sit down with farmers in the wintertime and we're writing their nutrient management plan. And we know that there is water resources all across our beautiful state of Wisconsin. And we're making sure that we're keeping soil out of the water, and we're keeping nitrogen and phosphorus out of the soil. And through my job, we get to do lots of on-farm research. I do a whole bunch of outreach, and I have a huge agronomy network that I consider to be my second family. So it's a small network of people, but we do some really amazing things. So what do soils do? They do a lot. So there's 9 different things on here. They do anything from regulate the climate. We're filtering contaminants and water through them. So wetlands are really important. They do nutrient cycling. So they're alive. There's microbes, and there are tiny little decomposers in there that are making more nutrients for our crops to be able to use. It stores water. So that's something that we work with on the farmers is if they don't have irrigation, we want our soil to hold enough water for that crop until the next time it rains. And then some of the newer stuff that's come up is carbon storage and carbon credits that are out there. And for plants, we call it the wants. So the soil provides water, air, nutrients, regulates kind of that temperature, and then support to help it stand upright. And so that is the importance of soil that we also talk about too, that wasn't in that diagram. And then Jamie's really into soil health, which I think is a great extension. When I went to River Falls, I was going to be an agriculture teacher. We took an agronomy and a crops class. And in there, we were basically learning about what I just said. How do we feed the crop? But the exciting thing about the last couple, I would say 6-7 years, it's been really exciting because farmers, agronomists, even like the fertilizer co-ops, we've been really diving into soil health. And what I think is neat about that is the soil health is now how do we feed the soil so that it can feed the crop? And I think one thing that really goes quite well is when we're talking with dairy farmers, they understand the ruminant stomach of a dairy cow has bacteria and it has microbes in there, and we have to feed the microbes in the dairy cow's stomach. And so when we're talking about what we need to do differently in our crop fields, it is feeding some of the soil first, and then it will eventually start reaping the benefits for our cash crops and the crops that we feed to our livestock. So soil health is a really big concept, and it can be quite complex, but it really is involved with making the soil more resilient. So we have had like lots of different things that have come up. So we have all of a sudden the rain that will stop, or all of a sudden we're getting flooded, or in the springtime we don't have spring. It just jumps right into summer. And that can be really traumatic on the soil itself. And so by working with soil health, we're trying to minimize those erratic things that are happening with the climate so that it doesn't have as much impact on what's growing in the soil. And Jamie really likes to start with the soil properties is a great spot to start. With organic matter, and then soil aggregate stability means that we've got enough space for air and water to be able to be in there, and that we're not on one side or of the other, as well as microbial respiration. So just making it a great place for those microbes, the worms, the beetles to live and have more variety in there versus what maybe isn't there now. So those physical properties, and Jamie talks about, it's all about the pores. And so when you have pores, we want to have 50% be there for air and 50% to be there for water. And when it rains, we know that the airspace gets taken up with water and beyond. So a great way or something that can happen is soil compaction can make some of the pore space less available. And so we know that tractors are getting bigger and bigger. If you've been driving around, we've got harvest. It just makes it more efficient for the farmers. Labor's hard to find. So if they can have one guy out there that can cover the same amount of acres as 4 smaller tractors before, it's those efficiencies that have forced the farmers to have those bigger pieces of equipment. But unfortunately, that has bad impacts on the soil. So then the diagram on the right, that's where I was talking about that 50% wants to be air and water. Then the rest of it is our mineral matter. So that's the sand, silt, and clay. And then then the smallest percent is the actual organic matter that is in there. And that includes all those teeny tiny microbes and the teeny tiny worms that make up that smaller percentage, but they're very, very important. So soil compaction, some of the things that you can do, it can be really simple. It could just be trying to drive in a stake. There are penetrometers that you can get, and it has a dial of green, yellow, and red. And that gives you an indication of how hard it is and how deep that compaction might be. And this is pretty easy to do. If you think about, if you don't have a farm field close to your school, think about your athletic fields and where there could be a lot of compacted areas. Think about where people might drive, to get close to a football field, maybe even the parking lot, if it might be gravel. And you can try your penetrometer that way. The second one is just a septic probe. And that one just has a sharp point on the bottom. It just makes it a little bit easier to push down into the soil. Or you can just get simple flags or try to pound in wooden stakes. And you will be able to feel the resistance of how difficult it is to push in there. So she's got different varieties on the bottom, and I've given all of these links, and Beth can send that in a follow-up email as well as drop it in the chat should you need to see that. Here's what happens to our poor plants when there is compaction. The roots are so tiny and delicate, especially if it's a new seedling, and it hits that compaction right away in like the first 2 to 3 inches. They hit that layer and usually they go out sideways and they're like, nope, I can't get through that. So that's kind of the corn, the bottom of the corn all the way on the right. That just shows how flat that is. Those roots were not able to go down. Then we also get in the middle picture, we get kind of this curly Q effect where it hits something that's not allowing the root to go down. This is more of a taproot type of a root system rather than more of the fibrous one. And again, that's just showing that the roots aren't going to be able to access more water and nutrients that are in that soil profile. Then the second thing that was really important is those aggregates. So the aggregates, I kind of think about as it being like a sponge. And this is going to make the soil able to hold water when the rainfall stops. And then the crop is going to not wilt for a longer period of time because it's able to hold more water in there. So how do we build up more aggregates is through that soil health process. We feed the soil. So we have a lot of farmers that have come a long way and they're putting out cover crops. So if you think about now, there was corn and corn silage that was harvested. They were able to maybe seed, and you see some green stuff. Actually, right now, it could still be kind of tiny. We'll even say on the flip side, think about next spring, you see these fields turning bright green. It's actually a cover crop. It may not actually be a physical cash crop that they're going to harvest. And it's a jacket for the soil, but it's going to help create some of these aggregates and give it more structure, like that sponge structure. When we're in the soil pit, we it's kind of crumbly. They stay together, and it's not in this compact layer that you can't even see some of the aggregates. So there's this golden cup over here by this picture. That I would say is good aggregates. You can kind of see some chunky stuff there. It looks like they're holding together. And so that would be something to look for. A simple thing that you can do at school for an aggregate is head over to your dollar store, and they've got these packets of a whole bunch of drain screens. They work perfect. Then you just get some clear plastic cups. You're going to collect a couple of different samples. This is a great time to have kids bring them from home, or bring them from a farm field near them, or bring one from the football field or something. Don't dig deep holes in the football field, but it could be from an athletic field, just to compare the different soils out there. And maybe you could assign different ones for them to bring in. You want it to still be in kind of a whole chunk, so they'll have to go with a shovel and bring kind of some bigger clumps and into school in like a Ziploc bag. Then you'll drop them in, and it'll give you an amount of time in this soil nexus properties of how long it should sit in the water. And if there isn't good soil health and these good aggregates, you'll see a lot of the water will get really cloudy. This one on the left side, it's maintaining its structure and that big aggregate, and the water's really clear. So that's a good example to have. There's also a free app that's called the Slakes app, and you can see over here they've got the phone that they've already downloaded this app on, and they're positioning it over a petri dish where they can keep the same height, and then that will help you use the camera on your phone to take pictures of this. And this is going to give you an estimate based on the picture of the different aggregates that are in that sample. So again, it's a free app. There's some really good resources that come with it. While it's not perfect, it's a great thing to try and use within your classroom for some hands-on stuff. Then we think about aggregates because, man, we want soils to be able to be a place that we can store water and have it infiltrate in. When we have soil compaction, it creates like this soil crust, and then we get really bad runoff. And when the runoff can be really bad, we get terrible soil erosion. And where is that soil erosion going? Into one of our lakes, into one of our streams or our rivers. So what can we do to talk about water infiltration? Because farmers, we want to do better at this so that if we are doing a better job in our farm fields, we're not going to have as much flooding, hopefully in sending that downstream beyond that. A really neat one that you can do is have a metal pipe section. So this one is quite wide. I would say it's probably a 5-foot metal pipe. And then you're going to take a wooden chunk of wood, lay that over the top of it, and hit it with a mallet to get it down into the soil a little bit. Then again, it's going to be timed. It will give you directions in this link here of pouring a whole water bottle in, and then timing for how long it might take for this water to infiltrate. We can see the one where it looks kind of like maybe a pasture or a grassy area compared to over here. The water has not infiltrated in. We maybe don't have as good of structure and infiltration. So you can think about different urban areas that you might be able to do this. A high traffic area in your playground area will also have a difficult time infiltrating in. Again, it goes back to that compacted zone versus having the vegetation and the roots to kind of open it up and make that fluffier soil to show this water infiltration. So I know that a majority of my coworkers in the counties at the University of Wisconsin Extension, we have some of these materials and these soil kits. So reach out to your county and we might have 1 or 2 of these that we could have that you could borrow. Another one that is kind of neat is look up your soil series. And I put the QR code up here because all it comes up to is this blue screen, and then it says search your soil name. And it's literally that simple because there are so many different soils out there. I typed in my name and there's a type of soil that's out there. My soil is actually in the state of Colorado. So it's really neat. Usually it's if you have students, you can try your first name, your middle name, or your last name. I guarantee they're going to get a hit on one of those. And then it's really neat to create a map, depending on your grade level, of where that soil was from. And then it goes through and it talks all about the different horizons, okay? And so this is going to lead to a next activity, it's my little advancer, of making a mini soil monolith is the official soil word for it, but it's a soil profile. So that description that was on the previous slide, it'll say for the 0 to 2 inches, I'm this color. And then from this to this, I'm this color. And so depending on your grade level, you can do like a smaller one, or you could actually build bigger ones, or they're also like clear containers that you can get at a lot of the dollar stores and stuff, and you can fill them and have them label the different layers within their soil profile that they got. So lots of different things, or even just clear jars. So those are really fun. A great place to get different types of soils is just drive around your county and think about when the farm fields don't have stuff growing in them. And think of beaches. Some of the landscapers are really good too, because they'll have like sand, they'll have topsoil and dirt and fill. So you get some of the different colors that you can use for this to kind of simulate it. If you do want to do one of these of like maybe a prominent soil within your county, you could just dig a little bit deeper, and then there are some directions of how to make and preserve those in this link right here from Purdue. So this one is like talking about using double-sided tape works really good for elementary. You can put profiles on wood, and then it has directions about that. So however in-depth you want to get with that, but it is really kind of fun. And soils are beautiful. There's lots of different colors. Glaciers have blessed our state with so many different types of soils. If I was to give this talk in Illinois, they don't have as many different colors and as many different soil types as we do in Wisconsin. So we really do have some cool ones. All right, now we're going to move into one that maybe is a little bit more interesting because, you know, soil is sand, silt, and clay. But hey, now we got cool stuff that we maybe can look at with a microscope. We can find cool pictures of the biological properties of soil. So soil is breathing, right? So we've got different critters that are in there decomposing. We've got plant roots that are cycling. We have manure and dead animals that are going to be broken down. And then that process releases oxygen. And so they are a breathing thing. And we also have CO2 that is going to come from that, from some of the bacteria that's cycling. So you can get this right here on the upper left is called a Solvita kit. And you would put a soil in there, and you would kind of need like a small incubator. So it's best to put this one in a slightly warmer area. But I have seen people be okay by like putting them on like a heating pad, and then just laying like a thick blanket over the top if you don't have like an official incubator. But that's how they would do it. So you can get like a Solvita kit and then fill it with the soil. This little paddle comes with the kit, and the color represents a higher or lower amount of CO2 that's being released. And this is one of the biological things that we look at to determine if the soil health is going up. We should have a higher amount of CO2 being released because the bacteria and the decomposers are more active. So that one is simple. And then there's also some things that you can do with your own, setting up some little vessels beyond that. How about burying some underwear in the soil and coming back to them? So I've actually done this with farmers, and it's amazing how much they get into it. So we have some farmer-led watershed groups, and I think there's been a couple of like news channels that have covered this, you know, over the years, but it is really neat. So they have to be, you know, like those white cotton briefs. So usually men's underwear are chosen. Get some brand new ones. It's got directions on the next slide. There's a really good USDA little journal of like how to follow this through. I have left them in the maximum amount of time is like 60 days, but depending on the length of your class or like how long your unit might be on soils, you can start seeing some stuff within a month. It's tougher now that we're hitting this fall time period because as the soil hits 50 degrees, everything starts slowing down. So it's going to be a lot slower. It'd be a great summer school, send it home with the kids and have them journal over the summertime because that's when it's really happening. We get enough rainfall, we get hot temperatures, but burying the men's briefs in the soil is a really fun activity. And this is showing you microbial activity. We can look, when we've done this on farms, we have conventional farming where it's just maybe a corn and soybean rotation. And then we jump to a farmer that's maybe more progressive and he's doing cover crops and he's doing no-till and he's been doing this for a long amount of time. And we can show the difference of how quickly those cotton underwear will be decomposed because of having higher soil health. So here is kind of what happens over time. Okay, so the elastic band stays because that's not pure cotton. And so this is kind of the progression of time. If you were able to leave them in that full 60 days in a really distinct area, only the little elastic pieces around the edges and the top is left. The rest has been recycled by the earth. So there's some good information and a good link here. A great one to do with all ages, I think. The flora and fauna, how can we identify what's out there? How can we count them? How can we make observations of what might be in our soil? So soil is a place for lots of different things to live. There's actually more animals and critters in 1 teaspoon of soil. It's an amazing amount. I know it's out there on the internet, but there's like a billion things that could be in 1 little teaspoon. But we just take for granted that how much life is out there. You can do an earthworm count. There's a recipe that comes on this link. You put in some mustard powder, and the earthworms don't like the mustard when you mix it with water and you pour it in this little 1 foot by 1 foot area, and the worms start coming up out of the soil. So, and it happens quite quickly. The only time that I saw that it took a little bit longer was when we really had a long drought, and that's because the worms were really deep. So think about, you know, when that if you're doing this, that if it has been really dry, it might take a little bit longer for the worms to come out. So that one's really fun. And then you can pick them up and you can put them in a pail and count how many you have in one area compared to another area. I've seen this done where people did it in a school. They did it where they had a compost pile, or like their school put all the grass clippings. They kind of did one there, even compared to the lawn or a closer like forest area. So think about different areas of ecosystems that you can look at for worms. Pitfall traps are also pretty good and easy to do. There's directions on that. You just place them in, see what falls in there overnight. Chemical properties. There are some really good soil test kits that you can get and order through your educational platforms. I have worked with Beth a long time ago, so hopefully she still has this. But you can do a simulation with just the small snack-sized M&Ms that you can get right now because of Halloween season. And then each color of the M&M is going to represent a nutrient that someone like me is going to look for in the soil. So red would be nitrogen. Then they're going to graph it on here of how many they had. Orange would be phosphorus. And I put them in the order of importance. So nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, those are the 3 big nutrients that we're going to check in our farm soil. as well as pH. So I used to have this in my previous job. I don't actually have, the form and the directions, but I know Beth has one out there. It's a great activity to do. Another biological or chemical thing that we look at is soil organic matter. Here's another app that you can try. It gives you a color that will come up on your screen, and then based on the color of the soil that you might have the students have brought in, it gives you an estimate of what that organic matter would be. Again, higher the organic matter, a lot more cycling of the nutrients that's going to be out there. And so it's kind of a fun one to do.
Chris, sorry.
Yes.
I'm just jumping in. We're at about 4:30. Wanted to give you just a heads up.
Okay. I think it's getting close to the end. There are also at this site, this was one of Jamie's. She's got NRCS soil health cards. These you literally would go maybe on a small little field trip and have them look and go through and fill this out for what they're seeing in the field. So kind of like a check sheet. They might have some background of some of the things that are being talked about in this. Just digging a hole. So Jamie is really good at what you can learn so much by just digging down into the soil. And that can be quite simple and easy to do. Work with your county and your NRCS. And I know when we've done a lot of these farmer things, the county people are pretty good at inviting any of the schools in so that they might come look at the pit that has been dug. The second thing that all of the NRCS people have are these rainfall simulators. And if you've never seen that, it's great. There's this smaller tabletop one. The NRCS has a whole trailer one where it can put down like over an inch of rain, and then you can put different soils that you've collected. It collects the surface runoff off the front here. And then there are holes in the bottom of these, and it also sees how much rainfall can infiltrate on the bottom too. So here's both Jamie and I's contact information. I know both of us would be happy to follow up on any of this. We both love soil. We both love to talk about it and share it with people. And we both have teaching in our past too. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Chris, that's a wealth of knowledge. I will be sharing these slides with everyone at the end, and I'll be sharing all of the links that Chris shared in her presentation. Every time I see it, I learn so much. And we're going to keep the train rolling with our Chris is going to hang for a little bit. We'll hopefully have some time at the end. But with all of this soil knowledge, we gave you a lot of ideas. And I'm going to throw it over to Mary Cooper and to our featured teachers, Kevin Podeweltz and Mary Cooper today. And they have done some field work for you on some of the lessons that are out there. And actually, before I toss it to Mary, I'm just going to make sure that I share my screen. So there we go. So Mary, if you want to explain this slide, and then we'll jump into the lessons that you have shared for us today.
Yep, absolutely. So the Soil and Jackie's Garden, this is the book of the year for Wisconsin Ag in the Classroom. And so the essay contest for any of those 4th and 5th grade teachers out there, or if you know of anybody, this is going to be the book that's going to be featured. So great book. It's done really, really, really well. The artwork is fantastic. So just a great book to have. And are you forwarding, Beth, or do you want me to?
No, I got it.
Okay, got it. All right. So I'm going to kick this off, and Brooke is here. So she was kind of instrumental in the mastermind behind all of these read and STEAM lessons. So we have several ag literacy books that she was working on through a grant and did a fantastic job. So shout out to Brooke. But I kind of worked with doing this and working with my 7th graders. So 7th grade is my home grade, my home classroom. And what I do is I have a really strong background in ag and STEM education as well. So I have taken a lot of lessons, whether they're ag literacy And then I've incorporated my 7th graders into doing like a mentor program for younger students. So because this is going to be the book of the year, we were doing some of these activities with my 4th graders, or the 4th graders that were here. So these are kind of what the Read and STEAM lessons look like. They will all be very similar, and they are all on the curriculum matrix that you can find. But the Soil and Jackie's Garden set up, again, it's got a lesson summary. They've got a grade level. But again, you can differentiate this really, really well. Again, I've been using this with my middle school students to do some mentoring program. And again, does really, really well. So kind of how I set this up is did the lesson first with my students. And then we go through the Read and STEAM activity, and then I have them highlight who's going to do what. So if it's something that I'm going to introduce to the 4th grade students, then I will do that. And then I pretty much let my 7th graders kind of run with it. So, and I know Beth is getting to the slides, maybe. Yes, it's happening. Yeah, no, it's all good. So I'll just keep talking. So, kind of how this lesson is designed is the first one that they have, it's an edible soil activity. So what I did is, thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. So yeah, the Soil Jackie's Garden is the book of the year. And am I flipping to slides?
No, I've got something covering the button that I need. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. There we go. We'll get there.
All right, you should be on it now.
Okay, all right. So the Soil and Jackie's Garden. This is kind of my the cover slide. So if you wouldn't mind forwarding, Beth, please. All right, so my Read and STEAM lesson. So the objective basically is students will learn about the components of soil through the book, The Soil and Jackie's Garden, by creating an edible soil profile activity with their middle school mentor. And again, this middle school mentor program, it's designed to give my older students the opportunity to mentor younger students where they can be the leaders and really just kind of shine and get those lifelong skills. All right, it's been working fantastic. This is kind of the Read and STEAM in action. So my mentors, my 7th graders, are guiding the 4th grade mentee through the activity. And again, this was the edible soil profile. You will get this in the links as well. You'll see that there's a little soil card that's on the table. What I did with that is I actually shrunk that a little bit. It's 3 separate 8.5 by 11 sheets, but I kind of shrunk it and then I laminated it so that I'll be able to reuse those. And then you'll see that some of the activities and the foods that the 4th grade student had on the table, my 7th graders kind of talked them through. It's like, here's the things that you could potentially find in a soil profile. What do you think we could use for each one of those? Like what foods could be used for what components? So it's really important for the 7th graders to lead, but then those 4th graders to then get that engagement where they are actually doing the thinking and those kinds of things. So some of the things that we used, again, the gummy worms obviously would be for the gummies or the worms that are in there. We use pretzel sticks for the roots. We had green sprinkles for the plants. And, there's some, like sometimes you can find Christmas cookie decorations with little clovers or something like that. You can use the colored sprinkles for the flowers. Wasn't really my favorite, but I know there's like a gummy flower, but of course, when I wanted to do this, I couldn't find it. Crushed sandwich cookies could be the composting that we use the vanilla wafers for that. We had graham crackers for rocks that you could also find within your soil, and again, breaking that down. And it's really important again, and to use those words like aggregate because there's different sizes. Excuse me. The raisins could be the critters, and then obviously we have the pudding. The lesson calls for individual pudding cups. I actually just made a really big batch. I just bought a couple of bigger boxes. It was just more economical. So something else that you'll see in the Read and STEAM lessons is there's always going to be vocabulary that will be with that, and then additional lesson links, as well as the standards for NALOs and those types of things. So that is the Read and STEAM action. Works fantastic. It was a lot of fun, and it's always fun when you incorporate food into a lesson. And then the second thing that I did was a composting activity with them. So we do compost at our school. We do have a school garden. So what I did with this is my middle school students, they had a mini lesson on composting again, just to make sure that we had everybody was on the same page. So, and just to make sure that we're modeling. And so we talked about the 4 main ingredients that are in composting. Again, you have those brown compostable materials, which are those carbon rich, will bring that carbon into the soil. You've got those green materials which bring that nitrogen, and then you need water and air. Okay. So what I had my 7th grade students do in their science journals is I just had them get a green and a brown marker, and we just made a T-chart with the browns on one side with carbon and then the greens on the other. And then what I had them do, and Beth, if you can flip to the next, is then there's some really great videos on composting and just, all the different things that you can do. So I do have some videos and a bunch of links that Beth will share as well. But what we did is we watched this short video. It's just 5 minutes. You don't want it super long. This was roughly about a half hour, 35-minute long activity that we did. And so that was the first part that we did. And then Beth, to the next one, please, and thank you. And then what we did is the picture on the right is I had my 7th grade students then take their word list of what was brown and what was green, and then they created, they kind of used inserted like a table where they then found small images and then put words with them. So then when it came back, the picture on the left is an example then of how they led their 4th grade student or their 4th grade mentee through that. So again, this is all building that background that the students are going to be able to use to be able to, when they're writing that essay for the Egg in the Classroom essay contest. So I think that was it. Beth, I'm not sure. Again, trying to go fast, and there's tons of things that we can, that you can add to this. It was just a lot of fun. So I'm happy to answer any other questions on how I set it up or anything like that. So.
Are there any questions for Mary? Those are 2 amazing activities, and she shared with me earlier that she had kind of pulled one of in the Read and STEAM activity lessons. You can find them on our website at Wisconsin Ag in the Classroom. But part of the fun of participating today is that you are each going to receive, if you send me your address when I send you the follow-up email, you're each going to receive a copy of the Soil in Jackie's Garden, copies of the Read and STEAM lesson, which was created by Brooke Whitrock in Wisconsin Agriculture in the Classroom. And because I cannot mail you pudding, you're going to receive a gift card for Walmart, so you can purchase the materials to do the activity. And that's part of a grant from the CHS Foundation because they sponsored our intern this summer to write these lessons and to create these amazing opportunities to incorporate literacy skills with our science and STEM skills. So it's really fun to kind of put our money where our mouth is and say, these are great lessons, but next week in the mail, you'll get the resources. And with that, are there any questions for Mary? Because we have even more great lessons for you from Kevin. All right, that being said, Kevin, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect. We'll just wait for the camera to pop back up here in a second. My lesson comes from the Educator's Guide that it was created to go along with the Soil in Jackie's Garden. And so it is a younger student's lesson. So K2, I did it with my 4th graders and it was fine. So it's definitely usable for any age level. And so it's super short, super quick. The book is short, so we were able to read the book and then do the lesson in a very short amount of time. But being able to make a graph and look at the worms and see how that benefits the soil are the main objectives in the lesson. Do I click? No, I don't click. There we go. And so it just is set up super quick that they look at the worms. They show them some pictures of worms. You could probably bring in some worms, but just to get them to have a reaction, right? And so this is where we get to be a tiny bit interactive for a minute. And what is your reaction to the worms? And since we're in a virtual way, you can just use an emoji on the next slide. And so this part is the part that was graphing. So they could physically move and make a human graph. They could hold up fist to 5. You could, and if we're in virtual, you could do the emoji reaction. But being able to kind of tell what is the data that you're creating, especially in younger grades, being able to look at that physically as well, making a human graph. But in the chat, what's your reaction to pictures of worms. Couple of the loved ones. Loving the worms. Lots of love on the worms. Good. I had some people that were grossed out and shocked, which was kind of funny. Okay, and so after you do that part, then we go ahead and read the story. And from the story, they get a journalist card and a scientist card. And so that kind of breaks them up into partners. It's a little bit of a scavenger hunt of here's a card for you, go find your partner. And one person then is the journalist asking these questions. And so they have to find the person who has the answer to their question. And so, again, this didn't take fourth graders very long. I could see doing something like Mary did with mentors and having older students help younger students in kindergarten find their partner and find their answer. And then after they have sought out that answer, then they come up to the front to share what was the question and what's the answer about the worms. And so this is just two examples from that educator guide. How do the worms move if they don't have legs? Then it talks about why. What do they eat? Can't remember a couple of the other questions. It was very interesting. Lots of good questions for the kids to talk about. And so I know the educator guide is available on the national website. Beth can talk about. I know in our county, usually they bring that with the book for us. So that's kind of nice. So we will see what we get this year. And that's kind of it. It's super easy, super simple lesson to quickly get younger kids thinking about worms and the importance of worms in the garden.
So that was just a lot of really great information and ideas and lesson sharing. And if you are looking for that educator guide, it's $5 to get the download, and then you have it forever. And it's really great for making copies. I know Mary may or may not have shared it in her super secret Google Share Drive that she may or may not be sharing with you later. But are there any questions for Chris or Kevin or for Mary about all of these great ideas? There are so many. Or if you've done a lesson about soil or worms, or even with a school garden, does anybody have anything that they would like to share to add to this great conversation?
Actually, Beth, can I add one thing? I don't know if any of you are familiar, but there is this program, Nutrient for Life. And Chris, you probably are familiar with some of their things, but they have some really great lessons. They had a summer professional development. It was extremely hands-on, done really, really well. Tons of great lessons, and just very easy to be able to learn just about kind of the nuts and the bolts, and really be able to dig a little bit deeper with some of your older kids. The lessons and everything is free, and they do have them differentiated between like K2, 3, 4, those types of things. And I know there's a career one in there that I'm going to pick Brooke's brain with a little bit later when we get to our second one. So Nutrients for Life, and I think we're going to put that in the link as well. So
yes, and I actually have another quick share from Mary. I'm not sure where it went on my screen. I do apologize. There's a lot happening here. But there was another webinar that series, we'll get to this in a minute, that Mary had shared. Mary, do you want to talk about the web?
Yeah, I don't know if you are familiar with Dr. Lane Ingram. She is so fantastic. I mean, Chris is nodding her head. I wish I could afford to go to some of her courses, because they're just so fantastic. So if you really are kind of like that soil nerd, she is the person you really kind of need to just follow. But this is a free webinar series. So I just wanted to put that in there because anything with Dr. Lane Ingram is gold. So just check that out. And again, for sharing that link, again, free. It's going to be fantastic. So.
Yeah. And the link is in the slide. So when I share the slide PDFs, the link will be there. But I believe the first time I ever met Mary, she was looking for materials like this. So I know that she's very passionate about soil and soil health. And again, I know that there's a lot of really great folks on today. So if you have any lessons or anything that you could see yourself using or have questions on about what you saw, please feel free to jump in and ask, because this is a great time to do that. And that's okay. All right. So I have just a couple of updates from Wisconsin Agriculture in the Classroom, because we just gave you, I don't know, 40 different lesson ideas. So now it's the fun part is, how do we actually implement these? So there's a couple of ways we can help you do that. And as I kind of alluded to before, there's a lot of opportunities that are coming up. So hopefully you're still seeing my screen. But we still have our free lessons and resources on our website. And then we also have access to some really great grants and scholarships that are happening or coming up right now. So first off, the first really exciting thing, everyone talked about this essay contest. Every year, Wisconsin Agriculture in the Classroom sponsors a 4th and 5th grade essay contest. And this year, the book of the year is The Soil in Jackie's Garden, which inspires our 4th and 5th grade essay prompt of dig into Wisconsin soil where good things grow. And so students are just asked to write a 200 to 300 word essay and share their kind of personal experience or a narrative, a little bit of soil information about why it's important. And we're going to kick off this year's contest with a brand new virtual author visit. It is free. So the author of the book, Peggy Thompson, is going to join us on Wednesday, November 5th from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Registration is required. I'm not sure if we're allowed to record it for copyright purposes, but we really encourage you to jump on and have your students ask live questions. It's going to be a book reading, and then we will kick off just a little bit of the Wisconsin essay contest at the very, very tail end, but all grade levels are welcome to join. Volunteers can join. We'd love to have agencies join. It would be really wonderful to have a full house for that for Peggy on November 5th. So mark your calendars. We'll send you the registration link, but you can see that right on our screen here. And then if you're looking for ways, and Sheila, I see you just jumped in with the vermiculture setup, and she teaches family and consumer science. So if you can bring worms into a family and consumer science classroom, you can do it anywhere. So if you're looking for grants on how to pay for those types of things, actually Sheila is a great person to talk to because she is a wonderful grant writer. We have our Ag in All Classrooms grant. It's a deadline of November 1st. You can apply for up to $500 if you are a pre-K through 12 classroom educator, or if you are a county or collegiate agriculture in the classroom program. That application is on our website. I'll send the link as well. If you happen to be working with an FFA program or a traditional agriculture education program, there is a separate grant that they can apply for up to $500. That is also due November 1st. And then in just a few weeks, we're going to launch our Teacher of the Year application, which is going to be January 31st. And I will be sharing more information about that. And I know we're tight on time, and I wanted to make sure that we highlighted a few other things. But are there any questions about grants, or anybody who has, if you've never written one, contact me, please, and ask questions. We have a very, very doable grant from Wisconsin. We really work to make it that it's not going to take your whole month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it is between now and November 1st. We really want to focus on helping teachers get the resources so that you can do the great ideas and the activities and help kids kind of use food, fiber, fuel, farming, all of those words to learn and be more engaged in your classroom. So please send those our way. All right. Are there anything for the good of the crowd today? Anybody have anything exciting to share or questions? One date that's not on here that I hope some of you have on your calendar. November 1st is also the due date if you are interested in presenting a workshop at the National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference. So if you're interested, that is going to be in Providence, Rhode Island this year. We do have some financial assistance available if you are selected to present a workshop. So please don't let that money thing be a barrier. We want to help you out. Kevin asks, does the vermiculture setup have a smell? Sheila, go ahead, jump in.
Does it have a what?
A smell?
No, I had it in my kitchen. So no, surprisingly, no. They were very good eaters, and I could let them sit. I never had them come. They never got out. Like some people think that the worms are going to crawl out. But no, I didn't. It didn't smell. I had it under a counter. So as far as your classroom, and it can go like weeks without being fed, but I would constantly eat it or feed it eggshells, scraps from the kitchen. And then if I didn't have enough scraps, I could put like cardboard in there, but you can experiment with all different kinds of things. They'll eat all kinds of stuff. So no, I'd encourage that. My actual setup isn't exactly like that. I found another one. I have given it to the ag department at the high school, and a student is taking it on as a project. So
Awesome.
I just didn't want to let it sit.
Hey, that's awesome. Like I said, if you can have worms in a family and consumer science classroom, you can have them anywhere. That's awesome. So with that, I hope that I remembered to share everything that I wanted to share. I'm going to jump back to my slides, make sure I got it all. And again, those grants, really easy. November 15th, I know I'm throwing some extra dates, but there's also a National Agriculture in the Classroom grant that is also available for up to $500. That is due November 15th. So if you are planning on writing the Wisconsin grant, be sure to submit for the national grant because they're very similar applications. You've already done the work. And because I don't judge the national grant, I can give a lot of advice. So if you ask me about the national grant and use that application for our Wisconsin one, I can't really do anything. But if you want help on the national, I can help you out. So there's that. Also, this was our first time doing an after-school professional development event. And we're really excited that you were here. If you are interested in joining us, we are doing this. We're going to get through the holidays and then we're going to kick it back up in January. But in between now and then, there is something called the Agricultural Literacy Certification. If you're looking for some on-demand professional development, this is a program from the National Center for Agricultural Literacy at Utah State. It's $25 and you get a year to complete it. And when you complete it, you get this amazing sign. Actually, Mary has one right behind her. She's certified. And we'll send you some swag as well as an Amazon card to recoup some of your costs. So we really want to help encourage you to show your stuff. We already talked about Mary's thing. And then I do want to just highlight a program that's in its second year. We have teacher ambassadors for agriculture in the classroom across grade levels, content areas, and geographically located around the state. So be sure if you don't know who some of these folks are, reach out if you see someone in your area. They are phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal, wonderful teachers. And I've learned so much from them. And they've brought so many new teachers to this program. It's been really great. So hopefully you'll get a chance. There'll be our two presenters today that are featured teachers are Mary and Kevin. So we want to thank them for their wonderful work. And again, thank you, Chris Clark from UW Extension for jumping in. She did a phenomenal job. She found out on Friday, I think, that she was going to be presenting because we are not allowed to speak of NRCS at this time because it is a federal government program. But the fun thing is NRCS has a blow up soil tunnel that is at my office that is mine until they open up and can take it back. So if you have need, contact me because it's just sitting here and it is a really fun resource. So I'm going to sign us off today at 5 o'clock and just thank you for joining. This event tonight was also part of the Wisconsin Science Festival, which is our statewide science celebration that's happening October 16th through the end of this week. So tomorrow I'll be at UW Discovery Center. There's a couple more events. If you're looking for something local, over 3,000 science in a bag kits were sent out to community libraries. So check out your local library and unleash curiosity with the National or Wisconsin Science Festival. So the next time we'll be offering this roundtable, we'll be presenting the Super Bowl of byproducts, and Travis Sprague and Emily Camps will be presenting some lessons in time for the Super Bowl, and we're working on our speaker for that session. February, we're going to be kicking off CTE, Career and Technical Education Month, with career exploration resources and a STEAM lesson with Mary Cooper and Brooke Whitrock. And then we're going to round out the year with Popcorn by Josh Gonzalez and Sheila Krosberg. And a special guest speaker, we have a popcorn farmer who will be joining us to share the process of what she does to grow her own popcorn, clean it, sell it, and even pop it. So we're really excited to help connect, share, and grow agricultural connections across all classrooms. And hopefully you can join us. And please keep us on your favorites page at wisagclassroom.org. And I want to say again, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be sending out an email shortly here, as soon as my video downloads, but with all of the links today, all of our speaker contacts. And please open that email, look for it, because it'll also have a form for you to fill out to receive your book, gift card, and the lesson for the soil in Jackie's garden. So it is 5:02. I want to be respectful and end, but any final questions for the peanut gallery? All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining, everyone. We are so excited that you joined us, and we'll be sending out a copy of this as well as all of the resource links. So have a wonderful evening. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.